Welcome, racing fans, to our latest episode of NASCAR Chat, the live YouTube show. We're going to discuss the latest goings on in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. As usual, my name is still David Whitlock, as it was all the previous episodes, and I still live in Houston, Texas, where it's getting really, really hot really quickly, and we still don't have a NASCAR race here, but we do have a NASCAR race in Charlotte, North Carolina, where my co-host is from. That is Lexie from Charlotte. How are you today, Lexie?
Fantastic. I'm a college graduate now, so I am awesome.
There you go. It's time to get hired. That was awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know a fun weekend for you having the race in town. You didn't go to the race, the All-Star race, that is, which we'll talk about in a minute. But certainly, congratulations, well-deserved, and a new stage of your life that we'll see what happens next. As you know, Lexie is a part of the Ladies in Black blog, which the details are at the bottom here of our YouTube show in the details. Be sure to check them out. They're really active on Twitter, so follow their Twitter handles, which are also on there. And we'll go ahead and get started today. Last Sunday was the All-Star race in Charlotte. They do 2 weeks in a row in Charlotte. The All-Star race is more or less an exhibition. There's no points distributed. It's a weird format. No matter what format they seem to throw at Kevin Harvick, he seems to find a way to win. So I'll ask you first, what are your thoughts on the format, which has different stages, different ways to get in the race? So we'll start with that.
I didn't get to watch the Open, so I was like a little late to the party with this new package, but I feel like the new package was fantastic. It was like a lot of pack racing and a lot of drama and a lot of adrenaline pumping because like you've never had restrictor plates on a track like Charlotte before, so it was just a little trial and error process just to see how it was. And I feel like it was very great because, I mean, there was a lot more wrecks and a lot more pack racing, which fans love to see. So, and those spoilers that they had on the back of their car were huge. I've never seen spoilers that big before, but overall, I felt like it was a great package. I wish they would put it in the 600 so I can see it in person, but it was good enough just for that one race.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I'm still getting used to the big restrictor plate races where everybody's so packed that you don't really see any distance. This seemed to be somewhere in between where you were able to see some separation. You saw the cream of the crop because there's the format is the open stage where people get to qualify during the different stages to make the grand race there at the end. And you saw, of course, the main drivers that had already qualified weren't in that. So you got to see some of the other drivers that hadn't qualified then fight each other out. And you say AJ Allmendinger get through and guys like that. And that was fun to watch and see them battle without those big boys at the top. And it just seemed to be very entertaining. Like you said, there was wrecks. All the stages were 10 to 20 to 40 laps. So it moved quickly. And then you had the breaks and things like that. So I thought the race format really went well. Any other thoughts from what you saw from the drivers? Again, Chase Elliott was towards the front. Daniel Suarez had his best finish of his career. So what did you think about Suarez in particular?
I am so impressed with how he's been running the last couple of weeks. He is a phenomenal racer, and it's starting to show as we get further into the season. I feel like he'll get that first Cup win very, very soon. So, yeah, and the whole Logano and Larson thing, I feel like that was just hard racing. He may have intentionally hit him, but I don't think so. For once, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was just hard racing, and that they seemed to both take it well. They kind of shrugged their shoulders and said on to next week, as they usually do. A major announcement today in the world of NASCAR was the Hall of Fame class, and as expected, Jeff Gordon got in with something like 96% of the vote. Some people thought it might be 100, wasn't quite that high. Also joining him are Jack Roush, Roger Penske, and then the late Davey Allison, as well as the late Alan Kulwicki, two drivers that died way too young. But we'll start with Jeff Gordon, since you grew up watching him race. What was your memories of Jeff and how he raced?
I remember mainly just him being a very aggressive driver. He was always he was always there when he needed to be. He was always the one person before Kevin Harvick was nicknamed the closer. I feel like Jeff Gordon was always there to finish off the deal. Of course, he's gotten into a couple spurts with drivers like Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Burton when he was racing, and even Brad Keselowski. But overall, I feel like he deserves this opportunity. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he's a great driver, a great family man. It's just very well deserving.
Yeah, certainly you can't argue with the results on the track. He did. It seems like there's no way a driver can't rub some other drivers the wrong way at some point based upon the racing or how the race laid out. But he always seemed to have a lot of friends on the track, a lot of respect from the other drivers at least, which is important. He was never really vilified. And of course now he's in the broadcast booth doing the broadcasting. So what about the Penske and Roush owners? What were your thoughts or memories of their candidacy and deserving to be in?
Roger Penske, I feel like, is a legendary figure in NASCAR because not only does he succeed in the Cup Series in everywhere else in the Cup Series, but he's also successful in the IndyCar Series because he has a couple teams running in the IndyCars. So I feel like all around he's one of the most successful car owners in the business, and I feel like that's what got him into the Hall of Fame, and it's even he's well deserving. Like I voted for him. Like I think most of the time, like every time I voted for him. So I feel like that's very deserving too. Jack Roush, of course, he is Jack Roush, Cat in the Hat, people like to call him. But I'm not a fan of him. I grew up with my dad saying that he wasn't the nicest person in the world, but overall, he's a legendary car owner too. So congrats to him. I feel like that's one car owner that has also been successful in different periods of the Cup Series. So I feel like that's very deserving for him too.
Yeah, it is hard to argue with the results, and I haven't followed the owners as much as you have, certainly. And sometimes you don't have to be the nicest guy to succeed in business. That's just kind of the way it works. But I certainly think they're recognizing the big players. And then, of course, the last two in were Alan Kulwicki and Davey Allison, who died, I believe, the same year, which a horrible year. Do you have any memories of them whatsoever, or seeing vintage footage of them?
I was actually not born yet when they passed away. So my dad was, though. My dad was a huge fan of Alan Kulwicki. He even said when I was telling him about the inductees, he was like he should have been one of the first or second classes that were inducted. So he was a legend. He died way too young. He died before he could even have a chance to be successful. Like he won the championship the year before he passed away, but he died long before he could be successful. Davey Allison, I have seen bits and pieces of how he raced when he was alive. I feel like he should have been one of the first couple classes that are inducted too, but it's really great that those two got in there now because I feel like they were more than deserving.
Yeah, likewise. I didn't watch a lot of NASCAR back then. I might watch Daytona, but certainly Davey Allison, the name rings a bell because he was just winning. But Alan Kulwicki, I wasn't as familiar with until I just did a little research. And like you said, he won the championship and didn't even get a chance to defend it. They both died in aviation crashes of different sorts. And it was just an incredibly sad situation. And Kulwicki really changed the sport from what I understand in terms of how he brought his team together. He was a small team. He owned his own car. He brought in, I believe, young engineers, from local colleges instead of just kind of garage shop guys, and really just changed the way the approach to the sport. So I think I agree with you. Both deserve to be in. Doesn't matter when you get in, and now that they're all in, I think it's a really, really healthy class and great for NASCAR. So the next subject, so we're coming up on the Coca-Cola 600, and our new graduate here has an opportunity with some fast passes this week to see all the action. So take us through what your plans are this weekend and what you plan to see, when you plan on going, and what you hope to see there at the track.
I'm expecting to meet a couple of drivers, but fingers crossed. But I've read up on what the day is like when you have hot passes, so I know that I'll be able to go down onto the track for driver intros. Like just sit in the crowd and just watch the drivers come out and be able to like get high fives by them. It'll give me access into the pit area too, like before, during, and after the race, I want to say. But yeah, thank you to Xfinity Racing for giving me these hot passes because I really appreciate it. It's the first time I've ever gotten a hot pass for a race, so and more than likely it'll probably be my last in Charlotte. So it's gonna be a fun weekend. Hopefully the rain holds out.
Yeah, it was really neat when you were telling me that Xfinity found you on Twitter and said and hooked you up because they knew you were a big fan. They even threw in a Go Dogs there at one point for Georgia, so they clearly knew who they were dealing with. I think it couldn't have happened. It couldn't happen to a better fan. So as far as the racing goes, it's a Sunday night race, and of course we haven't had qualifying yet, so we don't have a chance to see who's going to be sitting on pole. But who are some of the drivers you expect to do well? Obviously Harvick. I know you'll be pulling for Kyle Busch. We talked about Suarez. Is there any other dark horses or repeat champs that you think we should keep our eye on?
After seeing how Denny did in the All-Star race, I feel like that he'll be up there too because I mean, he runs really well at Charlotte. He's won the All-Star race, but he's never won the 600. So I feel like that's another dark horse pick. With Kyle Busch, it's basically that's his last points race at Charlotte to win at because he's never won at Charlotte before. That's the only track that he's never won at. So it will be historic. He'll be historic if he wins on Sunday because that'll make him the first ever driver to win at every single track.
That would be impressive, and how fun would it be for you to be there to see it? I've been impressed with how Truex has been running. Kind of a side story, Truex got to go to the White House this week, visit Mr. Trump in the Oval Office for his season last year, and with Sherry, and is that his girlfriend or his wife?
It's his girlfriend.
Girlfriend, and so she was there too. So it's good to see them. But I'll put a little bet on there on Truex. Maybe he'll come through. I like to see somebody besides Busch and Harvick win, but particularly Harvick. If it is Busch, for the reasons you said, I'll give him credit. He races hard. He races all the tracks. He succeeded at all the tracks, which is difficult to do because they all have their different nuances. It takes a really, really well-rounded driver to pull that off. So in closing, I thought we'd change a little bit. You mentioned IndyCar earlier. The Indy 500 is this week. Do you have any picks for us for the Indy 500? Are you going to watch it? Do you have any picks for us?
I'm not going to watch it because I'll be at the racetrack all day Sunday. But I've been looking around at all the drivers, and I hope that Graham Rahal wins because he's slowly getting on my likable side because he's married to Courtney Force, and she's my favorite NHRA driver. So I feel like he'll be one of the picks. But Danica Patrick is going to be, of course, going to be the center of attention because it'll be her last ever time racing. So hopefully she'll do good.
Yeah, of course. I'm always going to pull a little bit for Danica, who was my favorite driver, just because I always felt like she was an underdog. Obviously, the female in the male sport. She never was really that competitive, but we'll see. She finished, I believe, 7th in qualifying, so she'll be up there. I wouldn't be surprised. Will Power's another guy I like to watch, and so that'll be fun. As everybody knows, Sunday's the big day of racing. You wake up, you start watching Monaco Grand Prix at like 5 a.m., then you watch Indy 500, then you do Coca-Cola 600, so 1,600 miles of racing if you so choose to watch it. Well, have a great time this weekend. I hope you take lots of pictures, post them on your Twitter, and I hope you get to meet all the drivers you want to, and I hope it's a Denny. We'll go Denny and Kyle 1-2 finish.
I get to meet Denny tomorrow.
Oh,
I get to meet him tomorrow, so he's going to be in one of the Walmarts here in town, so I get to go meet him tomorrow. I'm pretty excited.
I would bet that. Well, great. Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm a little dark here. It's getting dark outside. But anyway, we'll certainly hope to have a show next week where Lexie can tell us about all her adventures. Hopefully, Kells will be back. Forgot to mention that she was unable to join us. She had a long work day today and couldn't dial in, but we miss you, Kells. We'll see you next time. We'll see you guys next time on NASCAR Chat.